Alright, so this is my week 15 NBA Power Rankings. Let's get started. Starting here with our injuries. You guys can kind of just read over this here yourself, mainly. But yeah, so we're going to just move on from that. We get started here at number 30. We're going to have the Washington Wizards. So they went 0-4 this week. They have now lost 14 straight games. This week they lost to the Lakers, the Clippers, the Suns, and the Mavericks. So 4 pretty solid teams, but still lost them all. And they're easily the worst team in the NBA right now. Number 29 is the Utah Jazz. They went 0-3. They have lost 6 straight games, sitting at 10-34. Again, not a good record. They lost to the Thunder, the Grizzlies, and the Bucks. So again, played 3 good teams, but still lost them all. They did get Jordan Clarkson back from injury, so hopefully that can help them there a little bit. But this team's so bad, I don't think Jordan Clarkson's going to really help them too much. And he, might just end up getting traded soon, anyways. Next up is going to be the Brooklyn Nets, who are 0-4 this week. They have lost 7 straight games. So these bottom 3 teams here, all winless this week, all are on pretty losing streaks. So not good there. They lost to the Knicks, Suns, the Heat, and the Kings. So again, like the other 2 teams, they played 4 solid teams and lost them all. But again, you're not really necessarily too upset because they played great teams or at least solid teams, but you got to at least get some wins in there because, going winless in a week is never a good look. Next up is the New Orleans Pelicans. So, and they also went 0-3 this week. They're going to drop 5 spots. So they were actually a little bit higher last week because they had a good week there. But this week they're going to fall down again. They lost to the Grizzlies, the Hornets, and the Raptors. So they played 2 bad teams in the Hornets and the Raptors and still lost those games. Not a good look for the Pelicans. Number 26 is the Charlotte Hornets. So they're going to drop 3 spots. They went 1-3. They just beat the Pelicans, like I said. They also, end up losing to the Grizzlies, the Blazers, and the Lakers, and they lost Brandon Miller to a season-ending injury. So that is obviously very disappointing. But again, this one team didn't have much promise, anyways. But you definitely do not like to see those injuries. Number 25, the Chicago Bulls. They went 1-2 this week. They dropped 1 spot, sitting at 20-27. I believe they're still in there as the 10 seed in the playoffs, but you still like to see them doing a little bit better than they are at the moment here. But this week, trying to find it here. This week, the Bulls lost to the Warriors and the Sixers before beating the Denver Nuggets. So a good win over the Nuggets there. Next up is the Portland Trailblazers. They went 2 spots here after having a 3-1 week. Solid for them. They beat the Heat, they beat the Magic, and they beat the Charlotte Hornets. Their only loss was a 10-point loss versus Oklahoma Thunder, who have the best record in the NBA. Number 23, Philadelphia 76ers jump up 2 spots, having a 2-1 week of their own. They lost to the Nuggets by 35 points, but ended up beating the Cavaliers, who are a great team, in the Chicago Bulls. 22 is the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to drop 7 spots here. Pretty big fall for them. They go 0-4 though, so I think deserve there. 0-4 is never a good look, especially considering the teams they played. They played the Pistons. They played the Raptors twice. And they played the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are good. But they lost to the Raptors twice this week. Not a good look. Also, Jalen Johnson is going to be injured for at least 1 week, maybe 2, or potentially even all the way to the All-Star break. So that's not a good look there for Atlanta. Number 21, Detroit Pistons are going to drop 3 spots after having a 1-2 week, sitting at 500. Still not bad. They did beat the Hawks this week, so that's good. They lost to the Magic and the Cavs after that, though. Number 20 is the Orlando Magic. They had a 1-3 week, pretty solid. Pretty bad. There for them. They beat the Detroit Pistons. They lost to Heat, Raptors, and Blazers, but they do get Franz Wagner back. Hope that kickstart some stuff here the next couple of weeks for Orlando. Number 19 is actually going to be the Toronto Raptors at a 4-0 week. They're going to jump up 8 spots. Their record certainly does not show that they should be up here, but after having a phenomenal week this week, I wanted to reward them with a pretty significant increase. Might be a little bit too high, but I think it's deserved right now. They beat the Magic, they beat the Hawks twice, and they beat the New Orleans Pelicans. None of those are great teams, but for the Raptors, there's certainly all those teams were better than them coming into the week. Number 18, Golden State Warriors. They're going to jump up 2 spots. Even though they had 1 and 2 weeks, still think they're going to jump up, just because there's a lot of teams around them that ended up falling down here this week. But for the Warriors, they lost to the Kings by 6, the Lakers by 10, and they beat the Chicago Bulls. For 17 is the San Antonio Spurs. They had a 1-1 week. They're going to have 4 spots. Again, kind of like with the Warriors, they were just, the teams around them were all falling, so they got the benefit of the doubt and actually ended up rising here. They split with the Pacers. They played in France this week. They won one game, they lost the next game. They won by 30, and then they lost by about 40, so that's pretty interesting, to say the least. Number 16, Miami Heat. They're going to stay the same spot. They went 2-2, a pretty average team at this point in the season. Jimmy Butler is now suspended indefinitely until he eventually does get traded, so that's cool. They lost to the Blazers and Bucks, but they beat the Nets and Magic. Number 15 is the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to drop at 1 spot, having a 2-2 week of their own. They lost to the Timberwolves, but they did beat the Thunder. Then they lost to the Celtics and then beat the Wizards. 14 is the Los Angeles Clippers, dropping 2 spots after having a 2-2 week there. Sitting at 26-20 is certainly solid, but underwhelming week here for the Clippers. They lost to the Celtics and Suns by a combined 6 points, but they beat the Wizards and the Bucks this week. Number 13 is the Indiana Pacers, dropping 3 spots after splitting with the Spurs, like I mentioned earlier. They beat them by about 40, and they lost by 30. So pretty interesting. Again, like I said, to win to a 70-point spread basically in 3 days of playing the same team is kind of odd, but that's just how the NBA works, I guess. Number 12, Sacramento Kings. They're going to drop 3 spots. They had a 2-2 week. Still a decent team right now. They beat the Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets, and they lost to good teams in the Denver Nuggets and the New York Knicks. Number 11, the Phoenix Suns. They're going to jump up 6 spots. They had a 3-0 week here, and they did play some solid competition in that as well. So that's why I'm going to reward them here quite a bit. They beat the Nets, Wizards, and the Clippers. So again, the Nets and the Wizards aren't great, but a good win versus the Clippers is really where I'm looking at for this week. Number 10, Milwaukee Bucks dropped 2 spots, even though they had a 2-1 week. It's just kind of where things fell around them. They kind of get the short end of the stick and end up falling, even though they had a solid week themselves. They beat the Heat and they beat the Jazz, but they lost to the Clippers. Number 9 is going to be the Denver Nuggets. They dropped 4 spots. They had a 2-2 week. Not great for where they're at. They beat the Sixers and the Kings, but then lost to the Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls. Number 8 is the Boston Celtics. They're going to drop 2 spots. This is their lowest ranking of the season. I believe number 6 last week was their lowest ranking of the season, and now they're falling down even more. Again, another 2-2 week for Boston. They beat the Clippers and Mavs, who are good teams, and they lost to the Lakers and Rockets, who are also good teams. But still, you would think they'd be better than a 2-2 record against these teams, just considering where they were to start the year out. Number 7, Los Angeles Lakers are going to jump up 6 spots, a big jump for them. They had a 4-0 week, and like I mentioned, they just beat the Boston Celtics, so it's a big one why they're moving up. They also beat the Warriors, the Wizards, and the Hornets. Number 6, Minnesota Timberwolves. They jumped up 5 spots. They had a 3-0 week. Again, a great week for them. Their record does not show their top 6 team, but after the way they played this week against good teams, they played the Mavs and Nuggets, beat them both, and then they beat the Atlanta Hawks as well. Number 5 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They keep falling right now. They had a 1-3 week. Certainly not ideal. They lost to the Rockets twice by a combined. Where is it at? They lost to the Rockets twice by a combined about 5 points. Lost to the Sixers by 3, and then ended up beating the Pistons. So I'm still a net positive week, even though they didn't go 1-3. So that's very disappointing for them. But they're still, I think, a top 5 team right now. Number 4, Memphis Grizzlies. They're going to drop 1 spot. They had a 3-1 week, pretty good for them. They beat the Hornets, beat the Pelicans, and beat the Jazz. So 3 bad teams to beat them all. The one good team they played was the Knicks, and they lost by about 40. And then number 3 is going to be the Knicks. They were undefeated, and they beat the Grizzlies. I think it makes sense for them to beat the Nets and the Kings this week. Number 2 is the Thunder. Probably our number 1 right now. it's been with Cavs at number 1 for a while, but they're actually going to drop to number 2. They lost a game this week against the Mavericks by 6 points, who don't have Luka Doncic, of course. They did beat the Jazz and the Blazers this week, but again, those are a pretty bad team. And then one's actually going to be the Houston Rockets at a 3-0 week. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers twice, which was very impressive there, because the Cavs again were a top 2 team coming into the week. They also ended up beating the Boston Celtics, who again another great team. They played 3 really good teams and beat them all. So I think that it's justified for them to fall all the way up to number 1. But yeah, moving from there is our reward races. You guys can mainly look at this yourself. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check back next week for an updated Power Rankings list, and goodbye.